morning. Good morning. So, I saw that there's a young man out there in Tennessee who put together a prayer vigil or like a community prayer. Nobody came. I don't know if it's because nobody knew, but it was just the Wells family and the gentleman that organized it. And, you don't want to rush to judgment in a situation, any situation. But especially a situation like that, because if you want to believe that people knew and just didn't show up, then what you have is you have a community, I guess, that's passed judgment on these folks, and they don't support them, stand behind them. Let me tell you what. As someone that advocates for other people, it's tedious, and let me tell you why. I'm giving out I'm giving the secret ingredient to the recipe, right? So let me tell you how it should be done. If you had Kuth, we'll give you a little clinic now on how to run a YouTube true crime channel. Okay, so what you're gonna want to do is find the nearest genre of crime that's closest to your heart, and you start there. So for this video, we'll be choosing child disappearances or abductions or issues with children. So what you first want to do, what I do, is I'll go to the social medias, because you have, more oftentimes than not, all the time the information travels through the Facebook and yada, yada, yada. So more oftentimes than not, what you have is you have a scenario where, like Candace and Donald with their Facebook and their TikTok, they've seen a literal explosion of activities on the Facebook and stuff. And although they do probably deal with a lot of bad stuff, there also is some good stuff in there. I've went and looked at it myself. So you go to the Facebook, or you go wherever they're active, and you make contact with them through positivity, right? So you model you model yourself for being a good human. That's the initial qualification to run something smooth, positive, and in the fairest likeness of God. So you go in and you make yourself available to this family, right? Or these families. And so everyone should be an advocate in heart, in spirit, and in channel, right? So when you advocate for these people, you come in with honey and sugar. You come in with the sweet and the positivity, and you bring the God with you, right? And you yoke yourself, you align yourself with these people based upon your positivity, based upon the resources and the help that you can make available to these people, right? So, for instance, we use the pizza, and a lot of people make fun of that, but it's the food train, right? It's the buffet, the food buffet when there's tragedy or even great things that happen in a church. babies being born, so on and so forth. People from the church, there's love and there's nourishment and food and healing and all those great things. And so it's in the likeness of God to share meals with people, based on their need. So you don't have to publicly ask the Wells if they want a pizza, right? Out of your heart and out of what you know. And people that make fun of sending pizzas, guess what? When their family was in need, nobody sent the pizza. They went hungry. They never went, they never put themselves out there on the strength of someone else and accepted that gift from someone who may have less or who may have more. But accept that in your time of vulnerability, because, vulnerability is the thing that people try to scratch and cover up and lie and steal and manipulate to try to admonish or absolve the idea that they themselves are vulnerable. You get all sorts of different behavior in that vulnerability. But when you accept help during your vulnerability, your vulnerable moments, what you're doing, to your ego is you're accepting the fact that you're vulnerable. Now, if you are a snake and if you're a snake, then you're used to accepting and asking for help when you're vulnerable, right? So now, I don't know about who sends what to Summer Wells or Don Wells and Candace. I don't know what they send. But you don't have to ask permission to send them a cheese pizza or two, right? Because they got they got the boys, they got the two of them. So you don't have to ask for stuff like that. Now, getting back to what your mission is as a channel holder and an advocate and a human with a heart, right? So you go in with the honey. You're always going to attract more flies with honey than shit. So what you're doing is you're doing what your creator would want you to do. You're helping someone the best you can. Meanwhile, that's on the left hand. You're doing all those things. And on the right hand, because you're an advocate, and part of being an advocate is being a mandated reporter. Now, not mandated by the state. I'm mandated by my own convictions, or she is mandated by her own convictions, that if you see issues with children, you'll speak up. So you've mandated yourself spiritually to report if you see issues. That's in the right hand. So meanwhile, you're running these parallel missions, these parallel campaigns, helping the family. This is how you become the most useful, bilingual, in a sense, asset or instrument. 2 cases with missing children. Now, if you want to cover, all the other bullshit, man, and it's a grown adult and they're out in the real world fucking up, man, take their ass to the cleaners. But when it's kids, you got to be very sensitive, right? You have to accept the fact that at different points, you're not going to have all the information. You have to accept the fact that at some point, you may never have all the information. So meanwhile, with the ideology, some people say, the ideology is, well, even if they're tearing up the family, they're still keeping Summer's, images and her likeness, relevant in all of this. That's not what you're doing. What you're doing is you're polluting a platform. It's pollution, right? Because if it doesn't get taken down and you make money off of it off the negativity and the nasty slander and defamation, when you start making money, subscribers, Cash App, super chats, that's reinforcement and incentive to remain victim blaming. So that means fuck Summer Wells, fuck Candace Wells, fuck Don Wells, and fuck the three boys. That's what that means. Okay? Now, it is so easy to do it the way God would want you to do these things. Right? So while you're running your parallel campaign, investigation, whatever you want to call it, they're parallel. The very moment on this right hand here that these people that you've been treating this kind of way and doing these sort of things for, guess what? When you're sweet to them, they're going to give you information and they're going to give you lots of it. Case in point with Monica Sherrod, right? I was a great human being to her. I'm still a great human being to her. And so it's limitless what I know in regards to that situation. All cases could be the same in regards to the YouTube. Guess what? Guys, you'll still get the money and the clicks for the positive shit. And you'll have the first-hand information. Now, what I see is a lot of creators that have clearly missed the boat with that. They just think in their mind because they see someone else doing the advocating in God's work in the name of those people, that in order to get in and eat at that table, they got to do the other shit, which is, man. So that's the lesson for today. You attract more flies with honey than shit. And the very moment, Candace Wells or Donald Wells steps out of pocket and they go out of bounds, and now at that point, if it were to become very clear that they had something to do with the disappearance of Summer Wells, then you get in their scalp like a helmet. Then and only then. Meanwhile, because you have to understand that these people in Tennessee, they don't have the New York metropolitan, the Los Angeles metropolitan, Dallas, Texas metropolitan court system. It's still churches in Tennessee that handle snakes and fire. It's a little bit different. So now you put all this bullshit out here on this fucking thing in remote rural Tennessee is infected by it. Now this family goes and has, the police haven't put, they didn't have that prayer circle from the jailhouse. They had it in the free world. So that means this should have been people wrapped all the way around them people, supporting them with flowers. Guess what? YouTube took that away from them and they stood alone as a family, but online they got all kinds of fucking help. Man, I tell you what, y'all people ain't shit and you know who you are. I don't even know who all of you are. Good day.